Welcome to the Heart-Centered Entrepreneur Podcast. I want you to be rich. Yes, I want abundant financial success for your business. But I don't just care about your business making money. I care about you too. I want you to be rich in happiness, in the impact you make, in your relationships, and in how you give back. I'm Anna. I built my six-figure business as a side hustle while I was pregnant with my daughter in 2016. Now I've helped dozens of women do the same. I'm here to help you build a profitable, heart-centered, fully booked business with the latest tips on sales and visibility, with proven mindset hacks, and sneak peeks behind the scenes with what's working right now in the online space and in my business. Ready to make more money with heart? Let's go. How do you overcome scarcity mindset? And did you feel this when you became the sole provider for your children post-divorce? How do you not let the feeling, the financial burden become all encompassing? How do you manage being the breadwinner for your family? I love this question so much, so much. I'm going to answer it today. And I want to welcome you with all of my heart to this episode of the Heart-Centered Entrepreneur Podcast. I've been hearing from a few of you that have been telling me that you're newer listeners to the podcast and you've been listening to every single episode. And that means so much to me. And just know it is such an honor and a privilege to have you here in the community. If we've never officially met before, come say hi to me in the Instagram DMs. I would just love to connect with you. Nothing makes me happier than connecting with heart-centered women like you and hearing about your business, about your dreams, about your life. I live for that. I could do that forever. So I just wanted to say how much I love you. And this is a tender topic. And know that you can submit questions to me for the podcast at any point, and I would love to answer them. This one's going to be a little bit more personal, but practical too. So it's really interesting because obviously, I am the breadwinner for my family as a single mama to two amazing kids, ages 7 and 9. And I have been for quite some time. And not only am I the sole provider financially for my children, or 95% of the way, but also time and emotional energy and capacity. And I really am that, though I don't identify with the word breadwinner, which is interesting because this reminds me, when this question was asked, I was like, breadwinner, I'm not the breadwinner. And I'm like, oh my God, I guess I am, right? It reminds me of when I had this aha moment that I'm a working mom. I have always worked. I've always loved to work. I've always been obsessed with being a mama. That's always my number one priority, but I've always enjoyed working. And, when I was doing therapy as my day job before that, when I was, directing in higher education, in the residence halls, I've always worked, but I've always really found a way to have kind of flexible work or part-time work or I remember bringing my baby on my baby carrier with me when I would be in some of my meetings and, have my son on my back with me. And I've never really seen myself as a working mom. I think that's because I had a lot of judgments around someone that was a working mom. I grew up with a mom who was a stay-at-home mom for the most part for many years. And so I think I really felt locked into that being the right and moral thing. And so I had a lot of self-judgment around liking work and liking to help people and liking to make money. So anyway, I feel like I had a baby identity crisis when I realized I am a working mom and I always have been. And that actually led me to hiring a part-time nanny for 10 hours, which was such a blessing because then I was able to work when I worked. And then when I didn't work, I was able to be more present with my kids. When I acknowledged how much I liked working as a woman, it actually freed me up to be a better mom and more free when I wasn't on my work hours. I think before I admitted that I worked, I still worked. I just kind of multitasked it more and probably nothing even got the best of my attention. So anyway, here's to not being in denial, right? Okay, so now that I'm having my second come to Jesus moment when it comes to being a breadwinner, I really gave this question some thought. And I really thought, how do I manage it? Because I do feel like I'm a pretty peaceful breadwinner. I don't feel a lot of pressure. I really, for the most part, feel a lot of abundance and happiness. So I want to talk about how to overcome scarcity mindset, but I also want to talk about how to overcome scarcity. Because I think sometimes we beat ourselves up for feeling scarcity when actually that's what we should be feeling because we're in a scarce survival situation. So I think practically, let's talk about how to get ourselves out of scarcity so that we don't feel scarce, how to practically get ourselves into abundance. And I want to talk about abundance in the sense of money, but also in the sense of emotion, the sense of time. Because I think as women, we really want to put ourselves in abundance of time, money, energy. That way, when life happens, we have the capacity to handle it. And I just feel like over the last years, I really have built up a large bank, not only of money, but of energy and time. And so let's talk about how to do that. Are you ready? So obviously, you guys know I wrote a book called Freedom Fund, Build Your 20K Freedom Fund in 90 days. And that's the number one thing I suggest for getting yourself really practically into abundance and feeling relaxed. You guys know my story as I told my coach, I'm making good money, but I'm feeling stressed when it comes to money. I told her this about 4 years ago now. And, I made this affirmation, like I have complete control of my finances. And I was really trying to figure out how to make exactly the same amount of money every month and execute a lot of control in my business and life, where instead what I needed to do is just create some surplus so that when things did happen, I would be okay. And so that's what led me to create 20K in the bank in about 90 days. And then I saved 200K in 2 years. And that's how I bought this beautiful house of mine. And again, creating that excess of cash so that when things do happen, you're fine and you're taken care of. So that's my number one suggestion in creating abundance in your life and business, is creating at a different bank than your own $20,000, starting with $200, starting with $400. My first deposit, I'm pretty sure, was $20. Maybe it was $200. I don't remember. It was something in that range, but really starting small and doable and starting to create some overflow for yourself. I promise you, it is a balm for your nervous system, knowing that if you have a client that you need to fire, you can fire them. If you have a medical bill, you can cover it. If your car breaks down, no problem, you can cover it, right? Having that access. Okay. Oh, and just one more note on that too. I've had this conversation with several of my clients lately, just making sure you're making decisions in your life and business that keep you in abundance. I think if have had a season, I know I have, of being in survival mode, maybe being in debt, maybe having really tiny children. And so kind of being in that panicky stage of being a new mama, right? If you've been through a season maybe of a debilitating health diagnosis like cancer or something similar, you have been in survival mode. And when we leave survival mode, it can be really easy to purposefully get back into it. Sometimes we're in survival mode and we can't help it. That's just what happened, right? But sometimes we put ourselves into survival mode because it feels familiar, because it feels like, oh, I'm not working hard unless I'm working hard. And so I think just really watching your decisions, and it's why I've made a lot of decisions very calculated in my life, right? Why I lived in a 1-bedroom apartment for 2 years, right? Because I was saving up that 200K for my house, right? Why right now I'm like, would love to get a new car, but I'm lightly pausing that decision because I want to go international with my kids 3 times this year. And that'll probably cost me at least $30,000. And so again, really getting clear and prioritizing what's important to you, and making financial decisions so that you're in the overflow, I think has always been really, really helpful for me. Okay, let's talk about time abundance. How do you create an abundance of time so that you feel grounded and peaceful? I think I've said this before, but I've shifted my work schedule so that most of my work is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 3 days out of the week, even though I have childcare now for 5 days out of the week. And then I put most of my work into 3 weeks out of the month. So I have that 4th week, even though I work a little bit in that 4th week, again, it's an overflow. I'm creating a lot of margin. I think as high-performing women, have you ever done this? I have. We overestimate ourselves. We're like, I'm going to do these 19 things today. And then when we only do 15 of them, we're like, what's wrong with me? Instead of is it reasonable for you to do 19 things in one day, right? I think when we and again, we want to also be careful not to underestimate ourselves, because we want to make sure that we are being efficient, right? Like, maybe you need to like write 2 emails, give yourself 20 minutes and you can get it done. You don't need to give yourself all day, right? But in general, really making sure that you have extra capacity in your day so that when emergencies happen, they're not putting you into panic. You're like, that's fine, right? Okay, I got to pick up my kid from school because he's sick. No problem. I can move this work to a different day, right? Planning for things to go wrong. I had this realization too when I really used to plan to get work done during my kids' nap time. And then it led to frustration because, kids never nap when we want them to nap. At least mine never did. Instead of me being like, okay, I'm going to use this nap time as bonus work time, but I'm not going to have it be my essential work time, right? And just really planning for things to go wrong. I have this worksheet I have my clients fill out. It's basically like a little like self-care planner. And in it, I ask them to write down a day that's not perfect, but kind of average. And then how are you going to manage yourself on that day, right? We're so shocked when like shit hits the fan, but like, what if we just knew that it did and planned for it, right? Okay, another way that I create time abundance for myself, especially as a beautiful single mama, is having a lot of babysitters on hand, right? So that I know that if my girlfriends are getting together or there's a salsa bachata event I want to go to, like I have several people I can call instead of really what I did before, which was only having one babysitter and feeling like, oh, if they don't, aren't available, then I can't have my freedom. Or, same thing, like if you don't feel like you have a pool of clients to pick from, you can feel like, oh, this client is mistreating me, but I don't want to let them go because I don't have another client. Like building that wait list of clients, building that wait list of babies, having extra, doing the work to interview babysitters, try them out. I have this like little formula I have for babysitters now. You want to hear it? I go on care.com. I message like 40 people and then, kind of filter through some of them. And then I do 10-minute FaceTime interviews with like 8 girls. And then from there, I invite 3 of them to come to my house and I pay them for 1 hour to be with me and my kids. And then from those 3, I pick one and my kids, let's be real, they pick. This last time my daughter went to one of them and gave them a little flower, a little rose, and said, I pick you as my babysitter. And she just laughed. I'm like, the girl's never seen The Bachelor. Like, how did she even know that, But anyway, point being, it takes a lot of work. You're like, what? Message 40. But like, that's the same process. Like when I'm hiring a new team member, that's the same process, like to find a partner and get dates, right? Like you just have to be willing to do the work, but creating that excess of support in that way. Okay, finally, let's talk about having an abundance of emotional capacity. I've never talked about this before ever, but something I really realize I do is I have a lot of friends. Especially right now, like I don't have a partner, right? And so I really try to diversify the emotional load I put on my friends. Like as a single mama, as a business owner, like my life has a lot going on, but I really feel like I'm able to manage it so well because I have a lot of friends that, if one friend is really busy and isn't able to listen to me and I'm going through something hard, I can hop over to another friend and share with them and have them listen to me. And I think where a lot of women go wrong is we have one friend and we put so much pressure on them, or even our partner, right? Like maybe your partner is in a chapter where he or she like is really busy or overwhelmed. Like I just think we put so much pressure on any one person instead of like, I always ask God, like, okay, God, give me 3 good girlfriends at any one time. And if one girlfriend is busy or going through something more personal, like that's okay. I can lean on another friend, like get really attached to having good friends, but a little attached to like who they are in each chapter. And what this has done is it's actually given me really good lifetime friends, like the same ones. I'm not saying like flake out on your friends, but I'm just saying like, give yourself a lot of options and resources, right? For me, this also means like having lots of different professional options. Like I have my coach, Lacey, who's amazing, who I've been with for forever, but I also have a therapist. I'm not seeing her currently because I'm doing fine in life right now, but I have her on call. And should I need her, I could message her and like meet with her tomorrow and sit in her office that's themed like the ocean. Honestly, just sitting in her office for an hour, I feel happy because she's so high vibe, right? But it took me time and I had to look up therapists and ask for recommendations. And again, that same process that I talked about with the babysitter, I called 5 different therapists. Only 3 of them got back to me. I did 15-minute consults with 2 of them, and then I picked one, right? That takes energy, but it's useful because in the moment of scarcity or crisis, you're not going to have time to do all of this. And so it really is, future self-care. I think about that too, like when I meal prep, right? I am taking care of my future self, just like I would a kid or whatever, right? And I think we don't, when we're in survival mode, we forget to be proactive, we forget to plan. And now so much of my life is built on planning ahead, right? Like I think I told you guys, October rolls around and I'm ordering all my Christmas gifts, right? Because I don't know how my November and December is going to be, right? I ended up going through a lot of transition this last December. And so I was so thankful that I had already done all the Christmas shiz, right? And so I think, again, just reminding yourself, like build up, like work in advance, build up storehouses, build up plenty and start slow, right? If you're in survival mode, this can seem impossible, but just doing what's doable for you there. Okay. One more thing I wanted to say when it comes to like calling in abundance is just really making sure your goals are clear. I've been working with several of my, one-on-one clients and setting their goals for the year. And a few of my clients, don't tell them this, but, I encourage them to set the same goal, which is good, better, best of $500K, $750K, $1 million annually. This is for my clients that are already making like at least $200K, $400K in their business right now. And it's so interesting. I just met with one today and she was like, oh my gosh, Anna, we're 45 days into the year and I've already hit $400K in sales, and setting that $1 million goal felt impossible, but now it's feeling totally doable that I'm basically already at my good goal. And I'm like 15% through the year. And so I think it's remembering creating that clear goal is what helps us call it in and helps us work towards it, right? When I had that goal to create financial abundance by creating that 20K freedom fund, when I first made that goal of 20K in the bank as a savings, that felt literally impossible. I was like, I have no idea where this money is going to come from, right? So know that like as you're making that goal to have capacity, whether it's in your money, in your time, in your energy, when you think about having 3 really good friends, maybe you don't have any good girlfriends right now. Maybe you did, but like you moved or you have a baby or like it's going to feel impossible. But like that's the point. You don't have it right now. And it's not until you have it that it's going to feel possible, right? So what I would love for today's takeaway to be is, especially if you are a breadwinner or if you are someone that is creating the stability in your family or creating most of the finances or whatever, asking yourself how you can resource yourself and create actual abundance. I know that the question was like, how do you have an abundance mindset? But I guess this podcast was more about how do you just practically create abundance in your life so you don't even have to have abundance in your mind because it's your reality, right? But maybe even getting clear on, well, number one, remembering you're not alone. Like, I get it. I get what it's like. And number two, asking yourself, what do I want to prioritize when it comes to creating abundance for myself? Do I want to create abundance of money, abundance of time, abundance of emotional support? I would put it in that order. I would say like money, abundance first, create that. And then I would say, time abundance and emotional abundance. I mean, those are all so good. Pick one, message me and let me know which one you're working on building up a storehouse for you. I got this visual of, like just a large storehouse of grain that farmers build, right? For their crops, for good years and bad years, they're building up these like storehouses of crops. And it's safe for you to create those storehouses, right? It's safe for you to think about your future self, to be proactive, to think in the future, to not be reactive all the time. But I know that's easier said than done. I am so grateful for you girlies. I love you so much. And if you want to create more stability through more money, I would love to have you in my Mastermind Sell with Heart. So make sure that you sign up for the wait list for that. That program opens 2 times a year. That is for women already making $2,000 or more in their business each month, looking to grow to 6 figures annually. If you're not yet at 2K, I would love to invite you to my evergreen program, Get and Coach, that year-round 12 weeks. You and me, we will get you to $2,000 consistently in your business. And just so thankful to support you. So thankful for this space and the time that we get to connect. Know that I feel close to you. I feel connected to you. And I hope that you consider me part of your emotional support system, one of your friends, one of your biz besties, your mentor on this journey, and just sending you lots of love.
Thanks for hanging out today. Please hit that subscribe button so you can make sure to stay updated anytime a new episode drops. And I would love for you to join me in my free Facebook community. It's called The Heart-Centered Entrepreneur. We discuss the podcast episodes. I regularly go live and do free trainings. And you may even meet your newest biz bestie. So you can join at heartcenteredcommunity.com. It's absolutely free, and I cannot wait to see you in there.